The witch demanded the customary price for helping the royal family, the firstborn son of the queen, as payment. Little did she know that the realm society is matriarchal in nature, so controlling the firstborn son of the queen is of no use to the witch at all. The queen happily seated her firstborn son, thinking she fooled the witch, and sent the witch off on her way. So the witch left with the newborn outside of the royal domain. She raised the child with love, teaching everything she could to ensure the child grew to know the world well. Then the day came, decades later, that a woman came to the royal palace to interrupt the passing of the crown. She claimed to be the rightful heir to the throne and demanded her crown. Outrage and confusion filled the palace. Neither side backed down in their argument over this claim. Only when a booming shake of magic and a command for silence echoed in the throne room did a semblance of order fall on everyone. The witch materialized in the room beside the woman who had come to claim her crown. "Your Majesties," she greeted, bowing her head slightly while a conniving smile danced on her face. "Why do you refuse to recognize her as your rightful heir? She is your eldest child." The queen scoffed. "No, she isn't. I've never seen that woman in my life." "Oh, but you have. You just didn't see her properly the first time," the witch sing-songed. "The babe you gave me, the one born a son, grew to be the very woman you see before you." Whispers began circling the room. "You little," the queen growled. "You treasonous thief! You plotted this from the beginning and forced that child to be." "I have raised her with nothing but an open heart," the witch viciously cut her off. "The only plotting I've done was to save a child from a neglected upbringing," the queen scoffed. "Neglected?" the witch continued, not caring to entertain any excuse the queen might claim. "I've seen how your matriarchy has grown less beneficent towards your masculine offspring over the centuries, and seeing as I can birth no child of my own, what better circumstance than to allay a child from a loveless upbringing?" No one could argue against the witch's words. The silent, measuring gaze of the king on his queen was telling enough about his position on the subject. And then, of course, was the current crown princess. Until now, she'd been silently kneeling before her parents and the lead of the royal advisors, ready for the ceremony to finish. She rose and took a step forward, then another. She descended the dais, approached the woman, and looked her over. She could see the family traits in her, the nose, the face shape. "What's your name?" The woman glanced at the witch before answering. "It's Myrna, your highness." There was hesitation before the honorific, but she made sure to still say it. She couldn't completely disrespect the monarchy, even if she was technically a part of it. The princess smiled softly at her, nodded her head, then turned back towards her mother. "Do you believe Myrna stands to contest me?" The queen scoffed dramatically. Of course not. What does she know of ruling a domain? Nothing. She wasn't raised to rule. You were," the queen said as she raised her arms, gesturing warmly at her daughter. "This crown is your birthright, not hers." She slowly nodded her head, then retook her position on the dais. She shared a long look with her mother as she turned back towards all those gathered in the ballroom. The princess resolutely focused on the far end of the room, then said, "Then let us proceed." "What?" Myrna started to protest and move towards the royals, but the witch held her back. Guards were already pressing in closer to them. Even with her magic, they stood no chance of winning a fight right now. All they could do, as their glares bore to the queen and princess, was hope that the waters they just stirred up would leave lasting ripples. The queen snapped orders. The advisors continued the ritual from where they'd been interrupted. The guards pressed in on the witch and Myrna, forcing them back towards the door. The crowd continued to murmur over all the chaos, refusing to be silent. Then the ceremony finished, and the crown now sat on the new queen's head. "Halt!" The command echoed through the room and made everyone stop everything. The new queen stepped down from the dais and gracefully made her way to her sister and the witch. She stopped before them, then curtsied, holding herself in a lowered position. "Forgive me for how I handled this, but I needed to give our mother one last chance." She stood up straight. Projecting to the room, she continued, "From this day on, the domain shall know two queens, for my sister shall rule beside me. In time, when she has the formal training, I will happily cede sole rulership to her should she wish it, and should it be right for the domain." The now former queen went into a furious rant, but no one gave her any mind. Her daughter sighed, shaking her head and waved to the guards to have her mother escorted away. "Prepare the right wing for my mother," she ordered. sending her to the equivalent of a mild exile. I don't understand, Myrna said. Her sister smiled warmly and took her sister's hand in hers. Thankfully, not everyone in my life has lied to me. Now, how about we have some tea and sweets and start some much needed sibling bonding, hmm? The two of them left the ballroom, arms linked together. The witch laughed as the former king tried to rein in the crowd. There was a buzz from all the drama they got front row seats to. Approaching the dais, the king stepped down to meet her. Well, that's all finally sorted now, he said to her. The witch laced her fingers together behind her back and leaned in close to the king, then playfully teased. I can't tell whether you're more pleased with having your eldest daughter back, or that that wife of yours has been so humiliated that she was stripped of her power and cast away. He rolled his eyes at her, but there was no hiding the smirk, he thought. Do you think you'll stay this time? He asked, deliberately changing the subject. She shrugged. We'll see. Though, since I'm in good standing with one of the queens, there's a better chance I might.